See, discipline and consistency make you the millionaire. It's the consistency. It's the on the treadmill. What's the biggest button on the treadmill, Jonathan?
I actually don't.
Good. It's the stop button. It's huge. It's red, and it's talking to you the whole time. Just hit me. Just hit me. And you just gotta just get through it. Like, it's uncomfortable, but you're like, my goals are more important than my comfort at this moment. And you just train this discipline muscle, whether it be working out.
On today's episode, we bring back a favorited guest, Dr. Chris Zaino. He's back on the show. A few of you have gotten in touch with me directly, letting me know how much you enjoyed the first time we had him on the show, so he's back. This is an awesome episode. You're going to learn all about celebrating your wins, the importance of celebrating your wins, and much more. Hey, if you love this episode, tag me on Instagram at HeartHealthyHustle. Say, hey, I love this episode. I want to hear more of this. That's how I know what to create. So tag me on Instagram, say hello to me, say what's up in the DM, and let's dive in. No sponsor today, guys, but I will share with you how I do stay energized. A lot of it has to do with creating myself a green smoothie. I do this with, once again, this is not a sponsorship. I'm just sharing how I keep my energy up. I don't care if it's green smoothie, blueberries in there, just keep a smoothie on deck at least every other day, somewhere around there. If you're too scared to get into it that much at first, I would recommend grabbing just like a green juice powder. Trader Joe's has a decent one, something like that. See if you don't notice any benefits throughout your day. You might notice an energy kick or just like this really good mood boost randomly. And you're like, wow, where'd that come from? It's the physiology in your brain operating at a healthy level, causing you to feel a blissful response that is going to change the game for you, more than likely. So it's super random, I understand. A helpful, healthy tip. Without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Heart Healthy Hustle podcast. Today, we are back with a guest. This is the first repeat guest. I will be honest with you guys and with you as well, Chris. This is Dr. Chris Zaino is back on the show. Give him a brief introduction once again. Dr. Chris Zaino is a world-renowned speaker, author, entrepreneur, and he is best known for his passion for helping people through the God-given laws of healthy living, the principles of mindset, discipline, and elevating minds, bodies, and their future. He's also well known for his competitive bodybuilding achievements, earning him the title of Mr. America in 1998 and winning his IFBB professional status at the 2016 Team Universe at the age of 40. We've previously spoken about, Chris, your background, and Chris and I got in touch and said, we'd love to do an episode for you where we talk about almost exclusively the power and influence bodybuilding can have on building your own business and how it directly correlates. And so, Chris, I'm very excited to talk about this in more detail with you. I know a lot of my listeners are into the fitness industry. They're into bodybuilding or weightlifting or just exercising in general. So welcome back, Dr. Chris Zaino.
Well, thanks, Jonathan, and thank you so much for everybody and all your great feedback, response. Like you wanted more, and so you're going to get it. And now I will give you, if this is my second time, we'll give you double the value for sure.
It's fantastic. So, Chris, let's jump right into it. What was the first time you ever picked up a weight? Do you remember your age?
Of course I did, man. My dad had just a great physique. And I always wanted to look like my dad. He was my hero, so my parents had a great work ethic. My dad had a good build. And the crazy thing is my dad never worked out when he had me at 45. So let's look at that. My dad, when he was 45, he had me. So he really didn't work out. He was just working, but he always had that thick barrel rib cage. So I just want to be like my dad. And I lived in New York. I lived in Long Island, New York. And just like all New Yorkers, when they get old, they go to Florida. So we moved to Florida, Sarasota, Florida, and I had friends and stuff there, and I didn't want to leave. I was 12 years old. And my dad's like, listen, you're going to have this baller room, and I'll put a huge mirror in there with some track lighting, and we'll put a universal system in there. So let me tell you what it looked like. So he put a system in there. It had on one end, it had the bench press and the leg extension and the pull down. And on the other end, it had a pec deck machine, and it had the weight stack. And then it had a free pulley. You could do curls and whatever in there. So it was really awesome. And I had little dumbbells that the screw-on dumbbells that went up to 25 or 30 pounds. So that's what it was. He's like, start doing this. And I was about 12 and a half years old. When I started, my dad says, I don't want you to do anything under 25 reps. And so I just stuck to 25 reps. And this is now, look, guys and gals, when just think it's the time of my life, I'm 12 and a half. We're going where I'm in middle school. This is where, the hormones are kicking in, girls are liking guys and guys are liking girls. I was never really the popular kid. I was very quiet, very introverted. Because I was kind of raised an only child. All my brothers were older. Do you know, like my oldest brothers from my mom's side, because my parents got together and had me. So any relatives are 20 something years older, 30, almost 25 years older. So I was raised an only child, and I started responding, and I started getting attention because of the way my physique responded. And I got attention. And when you're an introvert and no one talks to you and people are like, hey, man, you're looking good. And the popular people are liking you. And the girl's like, wow, not wow in a lustful way, but like, hey, I could see you're working out. And man, that's all I needed. It was a drug on just that I responded. We all love to do what we love to do. Then you're getting attention from people. You're 12 and a half, 13 years old. And then you put that in a recipe bottle. I was hooked on more ways than one, because now my identity started to be created by my genetic response to working out.
Did you have That's pretty much all the drive you need at that age, I would agree.
Yeah.
I didn't start lifting until I was probably 18. I wasn't dedicated. I did start lifting when I was 11, but I didn't care enough until I was 17, 18. I would go into the wrestling weight room almost every day after school to build up the strength needed to pole vault. I was a pole vaulter in high school.
Awesome.
And so that was my driving force there. And as well, all the things you mentioned as well, I think are all there, all present. With that, did you ever go through any injuries in your training, Chris, when you were younger, or did you pretty much maintain a healthy body throughout the journey?
Yeah, Jonathan, great question. And as usual, I don't know if you guys heard the last episode with Jonathan, that I might step to the side, and what I take a little brackets to teach a life lesson that I think everybody could apply today. So that's why you'll see me kind of say something and just kind of because I'm Jonathan and I, we're talking for the audience. We're talking to you guys listening because we want applicable things to make you move forward rapidly on a daily basis. So you know what? I was absolutely blessed for not having injuries. You know why? I was talking to my wife this morning. I never was really affected by peer pressure. I never drank, peer pressure never. So this trying to lift, and one max, I was not really a one maxer. That's why I didn't power lift, Jonathan. I love I had a bunch of friends that were pole vaulters, just amazing art and skill that you had. But I was never a good one repper, right? So when I worked out, my first 2 reps, I'm adjusting, I'm squirming, I look like I'm having a seizure. I'm trying to get just right. But I was never really which was a blessing that, some people could get under there, they get set, boom, they do that first rep. That's like a power lifter. So I knew powerlifting wasn't there. I was strong though. I was really strong, but I was strong with high reps, right? Because my dad had told me. I remember doing 315 for 25, in my peak. It just boom, boom, boom. So it's just I just had, I would get stronger using reps. So, if I could do 225 for 20, then I would go to 245 and try to hit 20. So I never really got a big injury. I would say I strained my pec front delt doing incline when I was at Florida State. And that took a couple weeks, but nothing bruised. Yeah, no shoulder injury. You know what? My knees through my career, my knees started to get a little wonky, if that's a word. But you know why? It's because I didn't tear anything, but I was using knee wraps to get stronger and using help or using the wraps or stuff as a crutch. I started to develop balances because I just didn't trust the weak link, So now I got rid of all that stuff. But it was really no injury. And I played sports. I played football and baseball, but I never took it to a level like you did in pole vaulting, anybody else. So, what was my best? I knocked on the college door. I got looked at a couple community colleges, but I'm 5'6". And I took so much to working out. My sophomore year, the summer of my sophomore year, I gained 30 pounds. During the summer, I came back. People were like, what the heck happened? I had stretch marks all over me. And it was just the peanut butter and jelly diet. I would eat a meal. And then my thing was I would eat a meal, whatever my mom made. And then I would have 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches after I just swallow them down like a food. What do you call this?
I remember those.
Those, right? Yeah. Right? Yeah, because that was, they didn't have any, they had Mega Mass 2000 and stuff like that. But I just responded so well.
More like Specs 2000.
Oh, dude, did you remember the Russian bear?
No, I heard of it.
It was called, for everybody listening, you can look online. It's called Russian Bear 5000. It was basically Mega Mass 2000, but you had to put it in a gallon of whole milk.
Oh, that's so
And
good.
you know how tough it was to drink a gallon of whole milk every day? It was miserable,
Ugh.
miserable. But we did whatever it took to get big. And I developed so much muscle mass. I remember one day, Jonathan, because baseball was my thing. I remember because I had an arm, and so I remember I was that summer I gained so much weight, and I remember throwing the ball. And you ever see like all the mechanics felt the same? It was like right now, if we were to do pole vaults, and it's been a long time, like your mind's like, oh yeah, it feels the same, but like it just didn't happen. It didn't click. I was like, I threw the ball. I'm like, am I throwing against the wind? I realized that I gained so much mass and tightness that I wasn't able to throw it from right field to the home plate anymore. And then I knew baseball was over. Plus, I was short. I mean, my school played Alex Rodriguez. That was a great story I could tell you guys. So
Yeah.
the Riverview Rams, top in the state for baseball, and Miami Westminster came, and we all knew of this third baseman called Alex Rodriguez. And man, that dude showed up. He looked like he did now. He was like 6 foot something, huge. But we always did. But the one thing we could say about Alex Rodriguez, and I could care less about what he took, that in his high school days, even though his parents didn't come from a lot of money, his parents, here's a principle, guys, this is why I'm telling the story. His parents did something that I learned a lesson that I do today. And this is when I learned the lesson. His parents saw, number one, they were Cuban, so there was a lot of baseball pride. His parents saw that their son loved something, and they borrowed money and poured it into their son. So he had a throwing coach, a batting coach, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, albeit he's 17 years old. Wow. And people are like, what? Like who? And what hotshot do you think he is? No. They knew a principle, a hardworking principle of apprenticing and getting the best to really allow their son's talent to become, he's who he was today and during the game. So that was really a joy to kind of be around some amazing people that are retired but became Hall of Famers for sure. But I definitely did learn something. Like none of us were doing what he did, and he came early, just like you always hear. It's like the Jordans and the Colbys and these guys. They showed up early to practice. They left after everybody left. He had the trainer, he had the coach, and we would point the finger because we would justify why we weren't doing that, but we really saw where it took him. So.
Oh, that's so cool. Legend.
Totally.
What do you think the number one takeaway is transitioning into bodybuilding into business? The reason I even thought to reach out to you about this again was because of the video you posted. Yep. You hit on a lot of good points there. I'd love to get into that, and I'd love to hear how that transition happened, if there was any self-doubt present, and how you just smashed through that and went on to create the largest chiropractic practice in the U.S.
When you're in fitness, anybody like when I want to make sure I don't make anybody feel less than. If you get on a treadmill once a week, I consider you in this zone. Because the fact that you actually do something and you have even the slightest bit of discipline. See, discipline and consistency make you the millionaire. It's the consistency. It's the on the treadmill. What's the biggest button on the treadmill, Jonathan?
I actually don't.
Good. It's the stop button. It's huge. It's red, and it's talking to you the whole time. Just hit me. Just hit me. And you just got to just get through it. Like, it's uncomfortable, but you're like, my goals are more important than my comfort at this moment. And you just train this discipline muscle, whether it be working out, CrossFit, whatever, just physical fitness. You develop I'm going through discomfort for a greater good, a greater goal, somewhat delayed gratification, right? And then hey, I went through a tough workout, I got my butt kicked, but you feel the rewards, whether it be endorphins, whether it be self-accomplishment, and it's a win. And that's what it gets to. It's a win. Every day it's a win. You ate correctly today, it was a win. So the thing is, we're in a society that everybody gets a trophy, but when you're disciplined in fitness, you're literally creating mini wins on a daily and weekly basis. And let me tell you, your character is based not off a one-time thing, it's based off what you continually do. So to be a winner, to be a millionaire, it's not a one-time here or there. It's an everyday thing. The everyday wins create the winning character that you possess. So now when you have that, you transmute that. And I wish I saw more fitness athletes doing that. Like the amount of time and effort they put in their Instagram page. If you put that in a freaking business, number one, we wouldn't see you on Instagram because you'd be like, I'm making $100 million a year. You know what I mean? Like I admire because there's so much work. It's like, please, if you put that work and efficiency into building something that you love and enjoy, and we know they have the discipline, they would not look like that. They're not lazy at all. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Like, but I'm Jonathan, I'm seeing there's a issue transferring of the discipline. Like I say, they weigh their meals. They don't miss a meal. They bring their water. Like they do some wacky stuff. They don't care what people think when they carry when they open up their tuna fish and eggs on a plane. Right? It's like, right? I've been there, man.
Oh, hey,
I did that.
look out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the purpose of that video. Is I want to wake everybody up and like, you are a millionaire right now if you just still fitness, but just direct 10% of it.
Right. Even just practice, start going in that transferring. Two things I want to touch on here. Consistent mini wins, keyword being mini that you used. I love that concept. That's actually, I don't know if Kaizen is, have you heard of Kaizen? It's like a Japanese.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically living that way where you are living in consistent mini wins, so important. And then I can hear some of my audience maybe being a little judgmental here on you mentioned like fitness influencers or people on Instagram. Yeah, there's a lot of trash going on, but to have a physique that is, clearly you work out, and even if they're on gear, like which is steroids for those who don't know, you still don't get that physique without working insanely hard. So I don't care if you think they're a clown, if you think they're fake abs or they photoshopped it, which maybe they did, but if somebody has the wow factor where you're just like, something's different about this person, they clearly worked super hard. They worked super hard. It's not, you can't there are people who take steroids and look terrible. You wouldn't even know. They look horrible and they think that that's the secret. There's no way. That's just a supplement, even that. So, I don't like hearing when people say, oh, well, they're just, that's their, people have so many excuses, but if somebody has a crazy physique, they work super hard. And I think that's just period. Yeah.
No, Jonathan, I'm all there. And I mean, I could do a separate show on explaining, what performance enhancing drugs do. Just to let everybody know, it's not about who's doing it in sports. It's who's not getting caught. They all do it because when you're a AAA high level achiever, they're not doing it to show off. Remember, you don't get to a certain level without having something called obsessive desire, guys. Obsession, meaning that Lance Armstrong, I don't care anybody, they weren't doing it to win. They were doing it to be the ultimate best version of themselves. So if they meant taking blood doping or whatever it takes so they could recuperate better so they could train again. Like it was all about not getting lazy. It was about I'm just going to throw it out there. Like instead of doing chest 52 times a year with performance enhancing drugs, I could do it 72 times a year and compound it over 4 years. That's 80 more chest. Like, do you understand? There's no laziness factor involved. It's like a car with NOS. Yes, you're going to burn out the engine, but it's all about getting the maximum performance. So, and I've known so many professional athletes and actors, and what I want to really explain to people, actors, and now TRT, let me just tell you the whole TRT thing. I'm on testosterone replacement therapy. I'm 42 years old. The whole thing is, understand, TRT is like actors, everybody you see, it's like the biggest joke, especially being and knowing a lot of people, and it's not who's not on it, it's who's not getting caught. And now that it's almost fashionable to Sylvester Stallone, he's, or it becomes something where these are high driven people who want the best out of themselves. It's not a laziness factor, but to do that over, let's say we even throw the drugs in there. So let's talk about a guy or a girl on Instagram. It's like the fact that look what they have to do. They literally, and I know this is not right. Remember, I did I ever talk about my room? When I talk to you guys, we're in a clean room. We're in a private room, all of us listening right now. And in this room, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no evil, there's no judgment, guilt, or shame. It's just us, and we just speak real. And when I see that person on Instagram, I'm like, you know what? They had to earn money. They had to go find a source to get illegal substances, right? They had to do like they went all out of their way, right? Right, wrong, lawful or not. It's like they did things. What I'm trying to say, the whole purpose of this is they were willing to weigh their meals, work hard, do things, take a risk, go in a gray area just for their goal. So imagine if they applied that and stayed within the legal lines and they did it in a business. Just think like they have conditioned and they have trained this disciplined obsessive muscle to become successful, whether it be their body looks a certain way, whether it be some of these guys like Labrada turn into a 9-figure supplement company with Labrada Nutrition. I guess, so it really shows you some go into real estate, like they're able to transmute the discipline into work. So when things get a little tough and when people want to quit, or when people get frustrated, it's just that time in the gym, in the fitness community. And what I mean, it's even the person who gets on the treadmill once a day. It's the person who gets on the treadmill once a week. It was the one time a week you said, I'm going to do it. That just that attitude. It's not about being 10% better to be above and beyond. It's the 1%. It's I got on the treadmill one time this week when 60 million didn't. So it's that 1% which is going to make the difference, guys. So I'm not like, no one should feel ashamed and no one should point the finger, because when I look at it, I'm like, wow, they really put a lot of effort to get their goal accomplished, and we could point the finger and judge them. But it's like, you know what? If I had that focused into something of business or production or getting my message out, I would be a success. There wouldn't be a failure. So that was really the whole message behind that. So even when I see people, man, and they don't, let's say like for you and I, they don't, I don't agree what they say. I don't agree with their politics, or I don't agree on how they roll. But there is that part of me that steps back and I definitely do the fist bump going, but I do respect.
Yeah,
exactly. I do have respect.
Exactly. I love to touch on these consistent mini wins.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, the trap that we fall into is going for the big win, going for too much all at once, going for the home run instead of going for the single base hit. I think a lot of us, we look at something, we say, all right, I'm going to change this area of my life. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take action. And then, a week later, you're back to where you were. You're not even going after it anymore. You're unmotivated. You're crestfallen, perhaps. I think a lot of that has to do with, you underestimate what you can do in 10 years, overestimate what we can do in 1 year. Consistent mini wins. So what would a mini win look like, and how can people implement that regardless of what kind of profession they're in right now?
First of all, you have to be aware of it. Because you're right, we're so focused on what we don't want or what we're not doing or we're not achieving, you are absolutely blinded to the truth. It's delusional. So the way we're going to do that, everybody's starting today. I would say do it before bed, but I get sleepy. So do it maybe around dinner. I want you to write down, just take a sheet of paper and write down all the wins you have today, because then you start being aware of, I'm winning. So for instance, I woke up this morning, I did cardio, win. I'm on this podcast right now, win. You guys listen to this podcast right now, win. I shot a video I had to do, win. I'm going to pack because I'm going back to Houston tomorrow, win. I'm going to go work out later, win. Hey, I ate all my meals correctly, win. Like, you understand, like everything. Like, you're going to realize even the smallest things. I drank my water today, when like it just, like if it's moving you forward towards your goals, it's a win. I read my book today. I did my detoxification protocols this morning. Win. I meditated for 20 minutes. Win. So I literally write down, and you should see my journal. It has, but like Chris, it's the same things every day. Yeah. Like there's never a day where it's not a win. There's never a day when I eat correctly that it's not a win. There's never a day that I meditate for 20 minutes that's not a win. Like, the wins we have never stop being wins, because doing that on a consistent basis is going to make you the person that you always dreamed of being.
Okay, but for me, I'm looking at this like I'll look at somebody like yourself who has achieved a lot of goals, and you've achieved a level of economic success that is very respectable. So, like, for example, take me for example. I look at somebody like yourself. I look at an entrepreneur. The mentality that you're sharing, yes, I agree with it, but I'm also wondering, isn't there a level so correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like you are advocating acknowledge every win and always acknowledge it as a win, even if it becomes habitual, which it should be a habit if you are going to win long term, right? Two things, momentum and the winning gets easier as you win. So for example, I went out and I started playing some basketball again. I was never great, but it was my favorite sport. I just love it. So great cardio, fun to hang out with people, good times. Physical sport. I'm out there playing basketball. I learned how to shoot the ball correctly to where I realize shooting the basketball isn't supposed to be a chance at all. It's supposed to be, I'm shooting this because it's going to go in. It's intentional. It's, yes, I'm going to make this basket. It's going to go in. And then if it doesn't, it's a surprise. And not only that, it's supposed to be easier. So the better you get, the professionals, the people who are winning every day at a high level, it's like for them to make a basket, it's easy. It's not supposed to be, oh, I hope that goes in. It's, yeah, it's easy. I put the work in. I'm confident in that, and I'm going to win. It's like it's just this self-confidence that comes with that momentum that comes from consistent action and discipline that is ever present in any successful bodybuilder's career. Would you agree?
Dude, you nailed it. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it on the head. You're right. Like you're right. I'm thinking, because I try to think in feelings. So it's like when I'm winning, it gives me the confidence that I'm a winner. And when I believe I'm a winner, then when I do get tempted or I do want to self-sabotage, you know what I mean? I have enough self-respect to most of the time, right, not get into a self-sabotaging thing that actually pulls me away from my goals. So like when I walk away from the cookie, it's and even though I use something like a cookie, it's real. The Cookie Monster is real.
Yeah.
When I walk away the cookie,
chocolate chip. Oh, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
Have you had the Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, no, dude, don't even tell me about it.
Don't get it. Oh, man.
But you find what I'm saying? It's like, I did that once. I did that before. I beat it. I could be like, you know what I mean? I have momentum. Mm-hmm. You're right, momentum. It's like, no, I could do that because this is my goal is worth more than that. And I just realized, like, when you're done consistently over time, that's why I even acknowledge the things that become habitual or routine, because I'm reminding myself of winning. Oh, you're winning. So because there's days I'm kind of down. I'm like, what did I do today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, because like it's like I want
to touch on that because I feel like that's me. I know a lot of people are that way too, where I'm really striving, really pushing myself, really trying to teach myself how to execute daily and even do it in the mini wins. Not really going for the gold every day, but acknowledging going for mini wins every day, building healthy habits that facilitate a healthy life where you can give back. I do find though, what I was getting at before is, even just interviewing high achievers, that it seems, I would love to hear your opinion on this, Chris. I'm really interested. It seems like high achievers, top level performers, these are people who don't even see a win as a win. It's actually just the behavior they see as normal, as, oh, of course I'm going to do that. That's just what it is. If I don't do that, I don't achieve my goals. That's just not an option. How much, because when I go down that road, when I do mess up or I do slip up or I have an off day where I'll say, well, the top level performers, they don't even look at this as an option. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm almost like scared to celebrate my small wins because I feel like those should just be so ingrained, so habitual every day that they're not really a win. It's just the way I have to live if I'm going to achieve the goals that I've aspired and envisioned. So would you touch on that?
No, we're cut from the same branch, my man. Like it was very easy for me to get critical, tough guilt and shame on myself because it's like a winner doesn't act like I am right now. Therefore, I'm off the wagon. It's almost like you're off the wagon. You're off the winning wagon, and then it almost like snowballs, right? Because I didn't do this today. I didn't do that, and I would think the same thing. Well, this guy or that girl, that's just the way they don't even think about it. It's almost like second nature. And that's when I really said, because I didn't like that feeling. I always felt like I was behind or I was chasing the winning performance routine, right? Oh, did I have a perfect performance routine today? Oh, I won. So it was a lot of pressure and it really brought a lot of guilt and shame, those words, guilt and shame, when I didn't. So then I just started celebrating my wins. And when I celebrated my wins, I felt good. I was happy. I was excited and I wanted to win more, And then, I do high level consultants with CEOs and guys who have $100 million companies. It's amazing how they'll speak on stage of what you just said, Jonathan. No, this is because they're doing it to pump up the crowd. They're doing it to pump up their team to say, no, a winner thinks like this. A winner has this routine in the morning. But, when you get to talk to them, anytime those winners are bored, lonely, their tank isn't full, so they start to get angry or feel scarce or depressed, then it hits the fan for them. Then they actually binge on food. They go to drinking. They go to drugs. They look at porn. They go to cheating. Like they go out of control. It's like because what happens, Jonathan, they're so hiding behind this perfect winning mentality. It's the pendulum goes all the way. Like they go massively to the dark side, and the other side then they go to this winning positive attitude. So I think they get so bound up. Then when they do slip, they go way out of control. So that's why I tell them, hey, listen, you're on this phone call right now. That's a win. Like almost seem like you're always winning because everybody has to face that tired moment where they get angry or frustrated or bored or lonely, and then they start losing a grip. They always do. They always do. So it is a fact, 100%. So that's why I adopted the method. And I teach them, hey, I want you to write down yours. So when you're starting to feel that way, Jonathan, it's tough in the beginning, but you take out that piece of paper and you say, okay, what are my wins for today? And you know what? You're going to look at that piece of paper. Here's how we believe such a lie. And it gets so delusional, our perception. You look at that piece of paper and go, I got nothing. You really believe that. And then you get a couple things down. Then after about a minute or two, it's almost like cardio. Well, it's almost like working out when you want to be at the gym. That first, like after that 5 to 10 minutes, the blood's going and you're ready to go. So after about a minute or two, then you start going, hey, I did this, I did that, I got on the call with Chris today, and then you really start going, wow, I'm winning. And it helps. All I could say is it helps pivot you. It may not pull you out totally, but it pivots you to saying, hey, like I am winning. I'm not a loser today. I didn't fall short today. I'm still winning. I'm still moving forward, because we think if we're not winning, we're going back. But it's like, no, I'm still moving forward. I might not be going 100 miles an hour, but I'm going 10, but I'm still moving forward. So it's really a deliberate, it's deliberate consciousness and self-awareness.
So go back to what is that exercise? How does someone do that? So you said at the end of the day, grab a piece of paper, write down your wins.
Yeah, just write down what's wins today, and don't take little things for granted. Did you work out today? Well, yeah. Win. How people didn't work out today? Did you eat your meals today? Yeah. You ate good? Yeah, you ate pretty good. Win. You know how many people ate fast food today? It's like you went to work. Win. You made a living, right? You made $1. Did you play with your kids? Yeah. You say hello? Yeah. Win. Kiss your win. You really go. Whatever is like a win. Whatever is successful and moving you forward in the areas of health, in the areas of finance, in the areas of business, in the areas of relationships. That's the 4 keys. That's the 4 most searched things on the internet: finances, business, your job, relationships, and health. And when you have those 4 pillars, be like, anything you did to further fuel those 4 pillars, you consider that a win, for sure. For sure. And you're going to wind up putting 20, 30 things, and you just sit back and your entire demeanor will change. And then watch this. Then you give yourself permission. You don't beat yourself up. And then you're like, hey, I'm going to go watch that movie. That's the thing, because I used to feel, Jonathan, I only have 2 hours left in the day. I need to accomplish more to kind of get my winning score up. That's how crazy I got. And then I would feel exhausted, but I'm like, no, I got to hustle. That whole hustle grind thing, I love the name of it. It just, and there was a time for that, but I was literally making stuff up to make me feel that I was worthy. And see, this whole, we were born worthy, guys. What if I told you that you didn't have to do anything and you were still worthy of being alive? When you realize, holy cow, I don't have to do a thing and I'm still a worthy. I've been born worthy. So when you start to realize, hey, I'm winning, and not every day is going to be a home run. I will tell you this, though. All my home runs came from what I thought was a single.
What do you mean?
The best analogy, I swung for, I was just trying to hit the ball. And it just hit the bat the right way and went over the fence. You know what I mean? I was just, like I said, I was looking for the mini win, man. And it hit the sweet spot of the bat and it freaking disappeared over the wall. And it became a home run. So I wasn't swinging hard for the fences and mad that I was just trying to connect. And sometimes when I connect, it was a double, a single. And, in baseball, I remember when I used to swing and it hit the sweet spot the right way, the ball disappeared. I was like, where'd it go? just to phenomena. And then that becomes your win. That becomes your home run. And then the home run. So, and then sometimes, you dig deep and you go for the homer if you're set up right, but sometimes, but we go for the home, and therefore there's a bigger reward. But also you got to be cool that you might have swung and missed. But I'm just going to try to make contact, and you'll be amazed that most of my I'm just trying to make contact because I went into the situation. Now we're talking about business and life, not sports. I'm just trying to make contact, and making contact, there wasn't a lot of pressure on myself. It felt easier going in. There wasn't a lot of stress and worry, and being in the state of not being stressed, worried, and just trying to like maybe give someone value, boom, home run, grand slam. Jonathan, it's like you reaching out to me, and then we get on a phone call, and we come up with this great idea, and you create $100 million company.
Right.
But it was just us connecting. Hey, Chris, let's get on the phone for 15 minutes. Sure, man. You know what I mean? Like it was easy. Like you didn't expect a grand slam. We were just connecting, man.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, I do want to thank you on air, so to speak, for connecting me with the people you did. There has probably been 3 to 4 successful interviews completed since we last spoke from people you connected me with. So I thank you for that.
And they're good people. I'm very protective of you on that too. Like, because those people represent me. Are you right? Like, my reputation on the line. Well, you don't have to say that, but it's like, they're solid people, and they're people who did for me what I would love to. My only hope would be to do for you and everybody listening. They changed my perception in such a way that I am living a better life today because those people were in my life, whether it be for a day, a season, or a lifetime. My life has changed because of those people in some way. So, I mean, back to the whole bodybuilding thing. So I realized as a bodybuilder, I weighed my food. I measured it. I did all these extra things. I was disciplined. And I did it for a long time. I did it for months. It wasn't like I'm going to do it for a week. So there was a lot of consistency. And bodybuilding is very boring. It's mundane. It's not sexy. It's monotonous. It's if I do this, and this, put my head down in 16 weeks, I'm there, right? So there's nothing exciting about it. There's no instant gratification. Like just think of all the things that would entice someone to do something. You're almost doing the opposite, and doing that year in, year out really, really builds. Like I go to the gym, man, for the one more. I go to the gym for business, meaning that every time I'm like, okay, is that my last rep? Okay, let me go for one more. The one more I know transmutes into my business world, my life world, my health world. Like the one more is just I just hung in there just that little bit longer, which makes the difference. I was patient a little bit longer. I gave myself grace a little bit longer, and I went for that one more. So it's just the one more rep. It's the showing up tired and just getting through it. It's like so much amazing. Arnold went through this whole speech on the things he learned in the gym and how he transferred that into politics and movies, and it's amazing when you realize, wow, it's almost it's the Karate Kid mentality. The first one, it's like, why am I waxing the car? Why am I painting the fence? And it was all building him up to being an amazing fighter.
Going back into bodybuilding again, how long should someone be consistent at a business pursuit? I mean, the easy answer, as long as it takes. How bad do you want it? But I got you, brother. It's as long as you're in love with it, man. Like if you love, because the person who's what's another way? Love is lovey-dovey. I know that's a lovey-dovey term, but obsessive desire. We could parallel with this person loves that so much that when you're obsessed about something, when you love it, when you greatly appreciate it, like you and I talking on this podcast, I'm sweating, I'm in my flow right now. It's like, why would I not want to be here? So when you could find that thing that gives you oxygen, you're automatically going to work harder without even thinking about it, right? So, and then the day you're like, this sucks, which will happen. That's where I found it. Now speaking at I'll be 42 in November, and actually living, like I was like, wow, we're going to have periods of 7 to 10 years when we're into something, and then that same thing that gave us juice and got us excited and happy and was our oxygen, it doesn't feel that way anymore. And it's not burnout. It's because we're evolving and expanding. So we'll have multiple careers. So whatever your thing is now,
have fun, go all in. So that's how long you do it. I would say, and please, anybody listening, don't hold me to this time, but I have found it for myself and working with others, something around the 7 to 10 year mark. Something starts to shift. You start looking elsewhere, business wise. Like you're looking, hey, you know what? I would like to maybe try that. Like you start to look at investing or doing different businesses or a different business idea, and it's okay. It's okay that you don't feel as passionate about that job that you once were so excited about. So just be self-aware of it. But some of you, you're like, I love this job. I've been here for 20 years. It's awesome. And you have little mini goals and mini wins that you want to do. So when you really start feeling depressed, unfulfilled, burnt out, numb, that's all signs that it's you're grieving your potential. You have more capacity in you to grow. And then you start, it'll come to you. So that's what I did with the I Am Hero. I had this chiropractic clinic and still doing great. And, I said, hey, I want to do something bigger and have more. It was all impactful. It was about impact, right? So if I can impact my town, now I want to impact the world, right? And I'll let you know in 7 to 10 years what that looks like.
Okay, so why do you think that is true, 7 to 10 years?
I don't know, man. What do you think?
I think it's progress. I actually started this hashtag progress addict. I think that's something that drives everybody is progress, whether they call it progress or achievement or winning.
Growth. Right, yeah,
growth.
Anything.
Right. I think it's progress. Without the progress, without the constant, and what is progress? What does that look like? Progress would be something where you're actually growing. It's not every day, same thing. It's new experiences. You're challenging yourself. So yeah, that's a good point. The last job that I actually resigned from was due to, it was so repetitive. Everything was a deeply myelinated synapse in that muscle memory. So it was just so automated, probably 70 to 90% automated, and 10% that I enjoyed the most, I thrived off of, was the human interactions and the relationship still present and, the ebb and flow of new relationships, old relationships. So that's what I really enjoyed there.
No, I agree. I mean, I did that even in my career, with the chiropractic, I'm building my wellness company and just crushing it and checking off all the boxes. But even when you check off all the boxes, and I had my associate who was getting ready for a physique show, I was like, well, let me see if I still got it. Totally irrational. Like, no reason to do it. But you know why? Because my clinic had peaked, meaning that, and this is something that I don't really talk about much, but when something peaks and you see it kind of going backwards a little bit, it scares the crap out of you because you're like, wow, I peaked and now I'm going backwards. So you're not growing. You're right. You're not growing or making progress anymore. So what do? I was addicted to progress. You're right. So I jumped back into bodybuilding and I made progress, right? I won and I went back and I got my pro card. So it was something I could make progress because it killed me seeing my practice regressing, even though it was at a level that was, I always thought it was sustainable, but people were like, no, you can't sustain it. But it didn't matter that it didn't matter what people thought, I felt I was not progressing anymore. So I was searching for progress, and I'm glad I dumped into bodybuilding. People, they put that energy into really bad things or definitely not good for their relationships and family. But I put it into bodybuilding because at least I know I could grow again, right? I could go from 164 pounds to 178 pounds. I could go from 178 pounds to 194 pounds, right? So I had progress. And I made progress for a good solid 2 years in one, right? So you're so right about that. So it's not about how good things are going in your life. Ooh, this is so good. It's not about, hey, yeah, you might be doing great in life and everything's going good, but progress is going to be everybody yearns for progress. Yeah. You're 100% right. And those who don't, they distract themselves. That's what happens. That's what a lot of people I coach, because they're not making progress, they distract themselves to get their mind off of, hey, man, I'm not making progress. Yeah. And then when we go there and they have to really say, you know what, but they're doing great. Hey, look at everything you got. I know, but I don't like to think about it. But it wasn't like the good old days. You start talking about good old days. You start talking about growing. And I'm like, wow, you're right. They're not making progress and they don't know what to do. So they start distracting themselves.
Yep. Yeah.
Nailed it. That's your book right there.
Yeah, that's largely why there's so much depression once you achieve certain goals, or so much grieving, or misunderstood, I guess you could say, grieving energy, or
Grieving your potential.
yeah,
That's what
like
it is. Grieving your potential.
yeah, and I like that. I think you were the person that where I heard that initially from was, grieving your potential. You have these chapters of your life where you're striving, you're anticipating, and I think I would say it's very important to actually enjoy those times, even though they are hard. For me right now, I'm in one of those chapters. It's hard. Like I'm pushing for this vision, I'm pushing for this goal, and honestly, there is so much volatility in the emotions. Even though I consider myself somebody I value self-awareness, I value my faith, I value, just assessing myself and my situation. Even in that, I still find myself being affected ever so slightly, by the emotional levels going up and down with feedback or lack thereof in what I pursue. Sometimes all it takes is a small word of encouragement from somebody, or a small, like you said, writing down your wins. That's huge. I need to do a better job of enjoying the present place I'm at now in life, because honestly, in 5 years from now, if this does all work out, which I am confident it will, looking back, I'm going to say, man, those were some fun times. There was so much unknown. There was so much like exploring, so much failure, so much going for it. And I think that being in the arena, that Theodore Roosevelt quote, and I think that is actually where the sweet spot is. Personally, I would like to have more security in different avenues of my life, and I'm not satisfied in those. And so obviously that's there, but I just think it's super important to enjoy where you're at and keep pushing.
Dude, what an awesome closure to that. That was amazing. That was good. No, you absolutely nailed it on the head. It's the good old days are now. And that's the thing, the good times are now. And that's why I'm such a believer, like you said, of acknowledging your win today, because you're still winning. You're still winning. Because here's the thing, in 5 years, you're going to still feel like this, but you're going to have a huge vision going on. But there's this feeling doesn't change.
Okay.
You're just going to have more accumulated cool stuff going on. But it's like when you get to one peak of a mountain, you're going to see 5 other peaks. In fact, the higher the higher you get, the more stuff you're going to want, and the more stuff you're going to want to achieve, and the more, wow, I'm not doing things good enough or fast enough. It's so that's why you're absolutely right. So how do you enjoy it? It's, people used to tell me, well, enjoy the moment. It's yeah, I get it logically, but I'm not really able to apply that emotionally. And then when I did just the tactical point of going, right now, man, I'm so winning on the interview with you right now.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? So when we're done, I won today. This was a win. Mm-hmm. It's just what a good so when you start getting in the habit of realizing and being conscious that no matter what state you're in the journey, there's always something to be appreciative for. Remember, we talk about appreciation over gratitude. Gratitude, if I'm grateful, it's I'm grateful for something that I'm grateful because I'm not in a position like somebody else. That's comparison. But appreciation means that even when things aren't really too exciting, I could find something that I could appreciate. And man, that just keeps appreciation is just such a wonderful vibration. It is love for sure.
Yeah, agree. The higher up you climb a mountain is the way. I think the word is a veranda. The more you can see, the wider your vision may get, and then also, and the second thing I found, the more I learn, the less I know. So the more I learn, the less I know. So like you said, celebrating those wins is so important, because if I don't, then I'm not acknowledging and appreciating the progress.
Yes. No, that's it. Well, I mean, dude, amazing value. Thank you. I mean, I just want to acknowledge you and appreciate you for, I love getting this. So when I enter into these interviews, you're right, man, I don't come in knowing everything, and I don't ever claim to, but I know what I will do is I will apply experience and allow an open mind going into any type of interview to be wow, because then you could bring this combination, this equation together, and something new comes out of it. I really got some great new perspective, and material from this conversation. So thank you so much, man.
100%. Thank you, Chris. And before you go, I just want to ask you, when you were transitioning from bodybuilding, and you still bodybuild, so there's that.
Yeah,
but when you were really going for the first time into business, were there any resources that you found extremely helpful? Were there certain books that you said, man, I'm so glad I found this? Any mentors? And if so, what did they tell you?
Well, it was just apprenticing was really important, where I'm the guy who asks for directions. Like, I'll go into Home Depot and I find the first person with an orange thing because I hate wasting freaking time.
Yeah.
My wife's like, well, no. I'm like, no. Hey, buddy, I need, I need a hammer. All right, I'll do like I don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
And so I feel apprenticing. I go to someone who's a week ahead of me. Like, people think you don't have to be the top. You just got to be a little bit further along. And so I could get all my questions out and you could tell me, I could learn, I could pay you, and I save time. And it's like, so I think apprenticing or whatever that might be, mentorship, coaching, apprenticing. Coaching is great because they see things you don't see. So they see the label, they see the blind spots. And when as everybody on this line, as you get older, you're going to realize you become really intolerant when you start wasting time. Like, that's what pisses you off, is when people start wasting your time. And then you're like, so apprenticing, mentorship, and coaching, you save decades and you save a ton of money from mistakes. You save lifetimes, because sometimes I think sometimes when you have a coach, it could be 2 or 3 lifetimes of experience that they teach you. And that's why you ever hear that thing, you stand on the shoulders of giants.
Well, Chris, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. This has been fun. This time flew by.
Always does.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get my audience in touch with you. What's the best way to reach you?
Just go to iamhero.com, iamhero.com, and then put a /secret. You're going to get my hero secret sauce. It goes over 5. I distilled 5 major principles that you could apply today that were really something I transmuted from bodybuilding to business to relationships to health. These were the 5 things that were always there. And that's my gift to you guys, some videos, some PDFs. And then I always love keeping this conversation going. So we do that by you go on Facebook or Instagram, just go at Dr. Zaino. It's DrZaino. I answer all my content. I answer my messages. I answer the comments. It is like that person that you're communicating with is me. I'm not too busy for you guys because that's me. So let's keep the conversation going, and any questions you got, I'm there for you.
That's awesome, Chris. Appreciate that. Appreciate your time, and thanks again.
Man, anytime, dude. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Take care.
God bless.
Hey, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I want you to go ahead and check out some of our original interviews, and you can do that on your favorite platform. Most of the platforms that are available for podcasting, you can find the Heart Healthy Hustle on there. Some great podcast app opportunities if you're not a huge fan, if you're on an Apple device and you are not a huge fan of the podcast app. Last week's episode was with Dr. Tim Meyer. It's called Learning to Become Who You're Meant to Be. It's episode 41 of the Heart Healthy Hustle. So if you enjoyed this episode, you're definitely going to enjoy last week's episode, and you're going to enjoy next Monday's episode. So we'll see you this Friday. Keep it locked, and Godspeed.